Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this July 14th special meeting of the City Council to order. In the absence of the clerk, I will call the roll to record those members present. Councilor Alexander, no. Councilor Bartley is with us. Councilor Bresnahan is not with us. Councilor Shatnoff is with us. Councilor Graney is with us.
Here.
Yes, welcome. Councilor Jordan is with us. Councilor Leahy is with
Present.
us. Councilor LeBron Martinez is with us. Councilor Lisi is with us. Councilor Alexander has just walked in, so he is now with us. Councilor McGee is with us. Councilor McGivern is here. Councilor Soto is not here. Councilor Tallman is here. Councilor Vacan is here. Councilor Valentin is not here. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
And the City of Holyoke.
And the City Council.
Well, good evening, councilors. The mayor has called a special meeting of the City Council. I thank all of you for coming. It would appear that we have 5 items on this agenda. And so we have a few department heads here. I do see the police chief is with us this evening. I see Mr. Schmidt, our city auditor, is with us. So we're gonna attend to these matters as quickly as humanly possible. So here we go.
Mr. President, if
Yes,
I may,
Councilor McGee. Yep.
make it easy for everyone. Suspend the rules, take all the items up as a package, receive, adopt, pass the first reading.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to suspend the rules, to take up all 5 items as a package, and to go to, and then also to pass their first reading. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. Under discussion, Todd, do you want to lead this?
Yeah, also suspend the rules to allow the chief or Bellamy to speak if there are questions for people.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded.
Second.
That if needed, that we allow the police chief and city auditor to address the city council on these 5 items. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. I'm going to just go through these items here for the benefit of the listening public and for everyone that may or may not have brought their agenda this evening. First item up is that the city council accept the provisions of the fiscal year 2015 pedestrian and bicycle traffic enforcement pilot grant. Authorizes the establishment of a fund or other method appropriate for the accounting of the receipts, expenditures of all resources associated with the administration of said grant. Item number 2, City Council accept the provisions of the E.J. Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program, Law Enforcement Equipment Grant, authorizes the establishment of a fund or other method appropriate for the accounting of the receipts and expenditures of all resources associated with the administration of said grant. Item number 3 is that the City Council accept the provisions of the E.J. Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program, grant, and authorizes the establishment of a fund or other method appropriate for the accounting of the receipts and expenditures of all resources associated with the administration of said grant. Item number 4 is order that there be hereby appropriated by transfer in fiscal year 2015 $40,000 from general fund free cash to FICA Medicare. And item number 5, order that there be hereby appropriated by transfer in fiscal year 2015 $15,000 from workers' compensation, $5,000, and police fire indemnification, $10,000, to life insurance, $1,000, and FICA Medicare, $14,000. Okay? So just so we're all crystal clear, we're now at the first reading of approving and accepting these 3 grants and for allowing these 2 transfers, all as a package. We can change our mind to segregate one or more of these items out if that becomes necessary in the view of some counselor. Generally, we operate under unanimous consent here. And I see on that point, Councilor Leahy's hand
Yeah,
up.
thank you, Councilor Jordan, and good evening. For these police department grants, I'm allowed to vote on these because of, I talked to the law department in the past. It doesn't directly affect my brothers. However, saying that, these are good grants. There's no match. We've done these, I think, time and time again. These are certainly good tools that the chief can put in his tool chest. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just recognize Counselor Bresnahan has now joined us, so we thank Counselor Bresnahan. Counselor McGee, under discussion on these 5 items, please.
Yes, real quickly. The reason they're here on a special meeting is they came in on the last meeting of June, and there really, at the time, wasn't a rush to have these grants approved at that night. Therefore, the consensus was send it to finance, but then the chief came in and said, you know, I could actually, if we receive the grants now, start these programs up in the summer, and it'd probably be more helpful in the summer than later in the fall. So although there's no time restraint in essence on getting the grants done now, he wants to use them now. That's where the time restraint kind of comes in. We try to take them up in the special meeting for the budget, but it wasn't listed, so therefore, pursuant to our rules, you couldn't. So I spoke with the chief and told him to request a special meeting to then get these grants on and allow him to get the money and go forward. There is no match. However, with regards to the grants, the bicycle traffic grant is for $36,000. The JAG equipment grant is for $30,000, and then the JAG grant itself is for $100,000. And the chief can explain all the grants in detail if you would like. He is here to explain them. And as we suspend the rules, you can ask him questions. But that's why we're taking them up the way we are now. It's something that the chief wants to get started right away.
Okay. Any questions? I was just going to look for some more. Do we have any details about the 2 transfers, Counselor McGee?
I don't know if you want to have the chief go first, and then I'll get the
Oh, okay.
transfers.
Did we?
Or
All right,
however you
fine.
want me to do it.
That's fine. On the grant issue, Counselor McGivern first.
Just
up.
on the grants, just my question would be, are there any salaries being paid, not overtime, but salaries direct?
Okay. Chief? Just make sure the microphone's on, please.
Good evening, councilors. Councilor McGivern, first off, no, there's no salaries being paid direct out of these. The first grant was the pedestrian bicycle safety. Should the city accept that, it'll provide extra patrols in high-impact intersections. We have a few of those. But it's really to deal with pedestrian bicycle safety issues. And there's also an education piece with that, so it's not all enforcement. That amount of money is $36,000, and the only time frame on that is we would have to spend that down before the end of the current calendar year. There are 2 burn grants in front of you. One of them is for $30,000. That's basically to buy $30,000 worth of portable radios to upgrade for my police officers. You know, our radio systems has some age to it, and we haven't been able to do a lot as far as yearly replacements. This would go a long way, and I could buy 30 of my officers brand-new portables to replace that they're dire need of. That particular grant, the only time frame on that is we actually have to receive the item and have it out there by the 31st of October. And then the last one is a $100,000 partnership grant to expand upon our mobile community policing initiatives, but specifically down in South Holyoke. We're partnered up with the Boys and Girls Club and Behavioral Health Network. Again, let's get our MCP unit down there. It's to get officers out on a walking beat down there, and it's also to get other agencies in behind us, not just the police department, to do some community outreach and make a major impact down in that community.
Anybody else? Counselor LeBron Martinez, I saw your hand was up.
I believe, just a question, we've had these grants before, the Burns grant, right? We've had them before?
We've had the equipment grant that we're buying portables. Yes, you know, like I think previous years we've bought speed signs and such. I bought computer servers one year. That's the JAG grant to expand the MCP or the McPop, if you want to call it, down South Holyoke. That is new. And then the pedestrian bike safety, that's somewhat new, but these come up occasionally from EOPS, and we put our name in for what we can get.
Thank you.
Okay, Counselor Graney?
Yeah, just quickly, Chief, the $100,000 grant, is there any special training available in this grant for your officers?
No, it's actually to put the 60% of that's supposed to actually go to the officers for funding to get the MCPs out there and the walking beats out there. The other part is shared with Behavioral Health Network and the Boys and Girls Club to bring people in behind us to, again, more of in an outreach fashion to provide services to the neighborhood down in South Holyoke.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else on the grants? Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thank you, councilors.
All right, Counselor Leahy?
Just to make it known as well, I do serve on the board of directors for the Boys and Girls Club, but this has no impact on me.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, continuing with our thoughts on the two transfers now. If you
Yeah,
could
with the
touch
two,
on that.
with the two transfers, there's a request from free cash of 40,000 towards FICA and Medicare. And then there's that second transfer where it's coming from different line items, workers' compensation, 5,000, police, fire, and indemnification, 10,000, which then that 15,000 will be moved over to 1,000 of life insurance and 14,000 for FICA and Medicare. There was, when we were doing all that stuff towards the end of the year on moving funds around for the school department, unemployment and everything, this kind of got lost in the shuffle, so it's coming to us now in order to be acted on, because they do need the transfers in order to balance out that side of the budget. Question did come up, you know, we're past July 1st, can we actually act on this? We actually have till July 15th, I believe, in order to act on these, and then they close the book. So we have a day. And Bellamy's here to answer any questions for people if they have that, but that's what they represent.
Okay, great. Counselor Bacon?
Thank you. I just have one question because I understood that there was extra money and it was just the way that the money was allocated. So I'm wondering why we have to go to free cash, because I thought within all those various accounts, we were actually at an excess of revenue on the bottom line. So I'm just wondering why we have to go to free cash and that it's not just an internal transfer.
Right. One of them, it would appear, the workers' comp and police indemnity, 15, is a transfer, but
I see that.
But you're correct. The other one is from free cash. Bellamy, can you address the counselor's question?
Right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
There, that's much better. We had sufficient funds to cover all the unemployment because of the school dislocations. But what I also discovered as we moved through the year is that the FICA Medicare account is going over budget, and there weren't sufficient funds to cover that as well. You know, I can only assume that that was under budgeted. Right now, I'm trying to do an analysis of the full year of that to understand what's happening, because it's not related to any, let's call it a price increase or a rate increase in the percentage for FICA, for Medicare, basically.
Right.
So I'm analyzing it now, but that's the account that's driving this, not the unemployment account.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor McGivern?
Bellamy, are these monies part of the school department budget or the regular city budget?
Regular city budget.
So the FICA is for the regular city? And is that a separate item than what the schools do?
Well, remember, all of the employees of the city, whether they're school or whether they're city side, are paid out of the same accounts.
Correct.
So I mean, the school reimburses us for their share of it, but everybody is together in the same
In last
pie,
month,
so to speak.
last month when we were questioning the unemployment costs in the schools,
Right.
we were told, both by yourself and by the business manager of the schools, that there was a savings because of the unemployed, because of the laid off school employees, there was a savings in FICA and Medicare. But now you're telling us that there isn't a savings.
The primarily savings was in health insurance.
Well, yeah, I believe FICA and Medicare was also noted as benefits that were saved.
Well, there were savings in all the accounts, but the FICA, despite the savings, the FICA and Medicare account is going over budget, and that's what I'm trying to solve here. I don't know why that's happening. I haven't been able to figure that out yet, and I'm still trying.
I said it last month, and I'll say it this month, is there is no accountability for school spending.
Right.
There is no accountability whatsoever for that school budget. And if we cannot, as local taxpayers, know how school dollars are being spent, then the state had better step forward and start checking into this on a much more than just a occasional random basis. The school committee has been stripped of their powers to have line item control. The city council has never had line item control over the school budget. We cannot get a straight answer from the school department on unemployment costs. We cannot get a straight answer from the school department on monies. There is no audits being done on the monies that are being spent over there. One minute, there's a savings in FICA and benefits that go to, because of laid-off employees, and the next minute, that line item doesn't have enough money in it to pay for the 2015 end-of-the-year costs. And that, to me, is a problem, a major problem, Mr. President. I spoke to Bellamy before, and Bellamy, this is no reflection on you. I said that last month, and I'll say it again. I spoke to Bellamy before the meeting, and Councilor McGee. I'd just like to hear it on record that the fiscal 2015 books are not closed, and that this vote this evening is allowed only because the books are not closed, because obviously the fiscal 2016 books are open.
Yes, let me speak to that, because we did speak this afternoon. Yes, the fiscal 2015 books are not closed. It is permissible to make changes after the fiscal year is, the calendar fiscal year is over, but the books aren't closed. Per Brian's comments alone, the mayor can make budget transfers after June 30th. To your point, Joe, I tried to get hold of the DOR to verify that this afternoon. I couldn't get them, so I talked to the finance director in Long Meadow, who reports that they regularly make transfers after June 30th before they have closed their books for the year, and they actually tend to close their books much later than we do. In the case of Holyoke, Brian used to close the books very quickly after the year was over, like within 15 days. I'm not doing that this year on the advice of our external auditors, who recommend that we take a longer and a more protracted period doing it, especially when someone like me, who's never done it before, is trying to do it and learn it at the same time. So we actually won't close our books till sometime in August. But by everything I've found this afternoon, we're fine doing what we're doing.
Thank you, and again, thank you for the work that you're doing.
Counselor Bacon.
If whoever's here that may know, could I be advised as to what the cash balance is in our free cash?
Bellamy, do you know approximately?
It's approximately $60,000. I think it's just slightly more.
Does that,
Thank you.
would that, and then it would be down to 20 if we pass this?
Down 40 if we pass this.
Right,
This
so
is-
from 60 to
yes,
20.
Yes, it would be, the balance would be 2022, yes.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Leahy.
Yeah, thank you, Bellamy. Do we know when the free cash, A, will get certified, and B, how much we're going to guesstimate that will come out to?
If we're lucky, we'll certify it in September. I think that's the normal time. Last year, it was much later because there was no auditor during the summer, but you know, I want to get that done as quickly as possible, because it's, we are trying to follow the state's recommendations to do the whole tax setting much on a sooner time frame than we have in the past. So that's high on my list of priorities to get done.
And what are you guesstimating that will come out to?
I have been advised never to make that guesstimate, because just so many things can go wrong, or
I guess the reason I ask you that, because just like home, when you know that you have to balance your checkbook, we have to look at every one of these financial transfers. We have to look at everything we do in the finance subcommittee or in this chamber as indicating that the way I look at it, we have to pretend that we're not getting anything, and we have to live with our means.
it could be anywhere from 2 million to 4 million. I can't be precise, because a lot of it has to do with balances in funds, and that may have to be closed out or whatever. It's very hard to figure that out, especially since the books aren't closed yet, so I can't even look at balances yet.
That's true. Okay,
But-
thank you.
You know, we know we have some money going in because of receipts we've gotten this year, and money that the chief turned over from a couple of his funds, but beyond that, don't know.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Counselor Graney?
Yeah, Bellamy, quickly, when you look into your financial crystal ball, do you anticipate any other tappings into these funds at all before the books are closed?
No, sir.
Counselor McGivern?
There's another factor too, Bellamy, out of your control, and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts was supposed to pass their budget by May 1st, so municipalities can do their budget by July 1st, have yet to finalize their final budget. And we don't know the whole truth of what's happening. I know they're taking some final votes, but we don't know the whole truth of what Chapter 70s, local aid, lottery monies are going to be.
Bellamy, not for this evening's consumption, but if you could get a moment to just, to Joe's point, where the final joint, I mean, we know that the governor still has a time period to make vetoes. The legislature may or may not allow vetoes. But in the event that these vetoes don't go through, could you give us the budget as adopted by the legislature now, compare those to the estimates we used during the budget hearings? For example, Chapter 70, maybe perhaps email that to us when you have a moment, because we now, like, for example, we were using the House 1 estimates.
Yeah, and we've got the Senate estimates since then. So do you want to wait until any vetoes are over, or do you want it now as of?
Well, no,
the-
you could send it now,
the
and
joint
and
committee.
then we'll just, we know the number could go down,
Okay.
but it won't get any bigger.
Right.
With
Yes.
vetoes,
Okay.
right? So this is what the legislature actually has passed,
Correct.
and is law pending a veto that we don't know at this point whether it's going to come.
So you'd like to see basically three pieces, the sort of city expenses, the
Yeah, the
state-
cherry
the
sheet
state- the cherry sheet expenses.
compared
And the
to-
school expenses, all added up to a grand total.
Yeah.
Is that what you're after?
Yeah, exactly. Like, for
Good.
example, you know.
Yes, I
what
can do that,
The
no
gross
problem.
school budget was based on a X dollars for the Chapter 70.
Yep.
What did ultimately end up getting even passed?
No
Yeah.
problem.
Now we know those numbers. Okay. Anything else on the 2 transfers? Anything else on the 3 grants? Hearing nothing more, all in favor of passing the first reading?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass the second reading. Any further discussion? Hearing none, yours truly will call the roll. A yes vote is in favor of adopting all 5 items, that is authorizing the 3 grants and approving the 2 transfers. A no vote is to deny the entire package. Voting first tonight will be Counselor Alexander. Counselor Alexander, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Bartley?
Yes.
Counselor Bresnahan?
Yes.
Counselor Shatnoff?
Yes.
Counselor Graney?
Yes.
Counselor Jordan votes yes. Counselor Leahy?
Yes.
Counselor LeBron Martinez?
Yes.
Counselor Lisi? Counselor McGee? Counselor McGivern?
Yes.
Counselor Tallman?
Yes.
Counselor Vacan?
Yes.
13-0, unanimous vote of the body present. All 5 items are adopted. That is the end of the agenda. A motion to adjourn would be in
Motion to
order.
adjourn.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. We stand adjourned. You're welcome, Chief. All the
Thank you,
best.
Chief.